Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown! Kansas City. One of the greatest duos in the history of the National Football League.
Move over, guys, because it's about damn time for the Queens to take their seat upon Chiefs Kingdom's throne.
6 consecutive AFC West titles. 7 consecutive years in the playoffs. 4 consecutive home AFC championship games. Join us on this ride to keep these streaks alive.
Chiefs Kingdom's spirit is unyielding. Whether we're down 10 points in a Super Bowl with only 7 minutes left, or 3 points in a playoff game with only 13 seconds to go, our belief in our Chiefs never wavers.
So Patrick Mahomes is the king of Chiefs Kingdom, and long live the king. But it's time for this reign to make way for some queens. We are the Kingdom's Queens.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Kingdom's Queens podcast. We are off of another crazy week of football. Just want to go ahead and say the Chiefs are dead and the Jags are making the Super Bowl. So everybody prepare. Everybody prepare. Jacksonville Jaguars headed to the Super Bowl. Kansas City Chiefs, Chargers, we're going nowhere.
The sky is falling, no pun intended.
Sky is falling. No, I'm totally kidding. We are your lovely hosts. I am Lexi.
I'm Chrissy.
I'm Shelley.
I'm Jodi.
And we have the lovely Shelley joining us this week. We are so excited.
Hi, everyone.
Survived. It's 1 a.m. her time, but she made it, and we are so excited to have her. So let's get right into it.
All right, Shelley, I'm so happy to see your lovely, cute face in your little Chiefs pajamas.
I know. I just rolled out of bed, so.
I know. You're probably going to pass out as soon as this thing is over with. That's okay. We appreciate your loyalty and your dedication.
Thank you.
All right, so let's just get into it, ladies. Let's talk about what happened this past week in football. Week 3 was crazy. I can't anymore.
Yeah.
You're already moving on.
I know.
Just moving forward. I'd like to talk about the Baltimore-New England game. So I know last year, the Ravens, they always start, I feel like they start strong and then they kind of fizzle out. But I don't know, there's something about this Ravens team this year where Jackson just looks like he's on a whole nother level. I know that he is betting on himself. He turned down a contract and, he's playing so well. He's like 5th in rushing, not just in quarterbacks, in just rushing in the NFL right now. His touchdown number is off the charts. And he and Mark Andrews have their connection is electric this year. So, really seeing this Ravens team, it'll be interesting to see if they can keep this up because I feel like they haven't been able to in the past. So we'll see if everyone can stay injury free because I think that was a big issue last year is injuries. And then I know with New England, they also look better than I thought they would this year. Mac Jones, I was not a believer in him last year. Any chance I got to trash on Mac Jones, I was like, it's Mac, whatever. Get him out of the MVP conversation. Come on. But, he also looks better this year and he was using his legs really well, which I don't know if we've really seen him do as much in the past. Hopefully his injury, I didn't see an update. So if I missed it, last I saw, they thought it might be a high ankle sprain, but I haven't seen anything. So if anybody knows, let me know, but,
they did say high ankle sprain.
Cool. So hopefully he can recover from that. Cause it looked like he was doing a lot better. So it was a fun game to watch and let's welcome back Devonte Parker. Huge, big game for him. I think he'd had 1 reception, maybe the last couple of games. So he had a huge game, yesterday. So, or not yesterday, Sunday. So yeah, that, I liked it. It was a good game. I had fun watching that one. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to talk to you about the Packers and the Bucs, which was an interesting game. Green Bay came out and looked really strong. We were seeing plays from Aaron Rodgers there I'm not used to seeing. He was making quick, decisive passes, and he looked to really be dominant, and that was nice to see that kind of dynamic edge from him. Sometimes he can hang back and maybe not, he doesn't have that pace like we're used to seeing with Mahomes. So that was really good. It then in the second half of the game, it went back to that Aaron Rodgers of old, and I think the team won on the defense. The defense on Green Bay looked really strong, but I think they had the opportunity to maybe make Tom Brady a little bit more angry and do more damage. So that would have been great to see. It was a shame it didn't happen. It was great to see Bakhtiari back as well. I think Green Bay have really missed him, and he's a lot of fun to watch. One of my favorites. So I think really special teams for Green Bay was a big plus and something that we didn't see last year. So they've obviously gone, and in the off season, they've come back really strong with special teams. So I think going forward, there's a lot of good stuff to see from this team. I think Aaron Rodgers just needs to, make things happen like the first half of that game.
I would agree. Special teams for the Packers was terrible last year, and so far, I'm not going to get into it yet, but anyway, with the Chiefs, we'll dive into that later.
I was about to say, Packers fans know how we feel right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But I will say, I think the Packers looked really good. I think that was impressive, their win over the Bucs, and both their defenses are really solid. So I am going to talk about a little bit of the Bills and Dolphins game. The Buffalo Bills, they are obviously a phenomenal team. They have a lot of injuries in their secondary right now in their defense, which is super unfortunate because here on the Kingdom's Queens, we do not wish injuries on anyone. We want the best competition. We want the best of the best for everyone. And it's really unfortunate to see Micah Hyde. I think he's season ending and a lot of those things. So that does make a difference. And I think it showed a little bit, but I actually think the Dolphins defense was really who stepped up in that game. I'm a little bit frustrated that Melvin Ingram really seemed to step up for them right away and kind of didn't as much when he was a Chief. I mean, we played them last season and we played the Bengals, and I'm not really going to get into that last season stuff, but he really made some big plays for the Dolphins on defense for them on Sunday. And he was a game changer, and so Josh Allen is fantastic. He still managed to throw 400 yards somehow. But he kept getting stopped in the red zone.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an issue, and no one really wants to talk about it yet. But, if Patrick Mahomes throws an almost interception, then it's the news of the game, and we need to change all of the stats. But Josh Allen threw about 2 or 3 almost interceptions. And I do not hate Josh Allen. I don't want that to be a thing, but it's a little frustrating when you see other people do it. And it's like, why isn't that talked about? But anyway, but it was a very good game. It was very close scoring. It was very hot and humid for them. And I think both teams struggled with that, but I think more so the Bills because they're not accustomed to it. So I think that does play a factor into it, but you should be ready to play in any weather that you have to face. So I'm kind of a believer in that. And it was a very tight game. And the Bills were lucky that that Tua was stuck in the end zone on a first down. He was stuck in the end zone, or it was a third down, I'm sorry, on one of their final plays. And they recovered for the 2 points. And that was where they got the 19 points. But it was not the normal Buffalo team we're used to seeing. So definitely interesting game. Definitely a very competitive, very interesting game.
One thing I did find very interesting about the stat line for that game, just real quick, was Josh Allen's stat line where he had 63 pass attempts, or he was something like that, and he threw for 400 something yards, but they put up 20 points. And it's that just doesn't compute. And I almost worry about his longevity if they're going to put him through that every week
And they ran about 90 offensive plays, which is kind of insane. And the Dolphins ran 40, and they managed to win. Yeah. So It kind of, I mean, the Dolphins had the Bills number in that game.
Efficiency.
Yeah. Getting things done.
All right, I'm going to talk about the drama of Monday Night Football with the Cowboys and the Giants because I love chaos. I think I just want to start off by saying quarterback controversy. I think that's what I saw all day on ESPN, even though I don't want to say I watched ESPN because ESPN is kind of annoying, but all day long, all they talked about was the quarterback controversy in Dallas. And, I think a few of my biggest takeaways from that game is I don't like that Kellen Moore isn't as aggressive with Dak like he is Cooper Rush under the center. I feel like he needs to keep that same energy. I get that they're trying to be conservative with Dak. I'm not really sure the reasoning behind it, but Dak can get the job done. I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like they need to open the playbook all the way up for Dak. Like, keep that same energy. Besides that, Zeke and Pollard went crazy. I think they have one of the best running back duos in the league. Like, I'm not going to say that, but Pollard is amazing. He runs hard, and I love to see it. CeeDee Lamb, he went off. That first half was a struggle for him. If you were on social media, you seen half of Cowboys Nation was trying to rid CeeDee Lamb the first half of the game. And then the second half of the game, they loved him, and they were like, we don't want him to go anywhere. And then the Cowboys defense is like top 3. So I think that's all that I have to say about that. I don't really care. And we're going to pivot and move on. So I know last week was rough. First L of the season. It was rough. So it's only up to us to do what's right. So let's just recap last week. I think you guys have been on social media and you've seen all of the chaos between Chiefs Kingdom, and they are up and down and emotional and happy and sad and crying. And there's so many things happening right now with the Kingdom. So let's get into it. How are y'all feeling? What are y'all thinking?
So I'm probably feeling more positive than a good chunk of Chiefs Kingdom is right now. And I'm not going to lie, during that game, just something from the very get-go felt off. And it's like from the very beginning, we had the Sky Moore fumble, and then the second, messed up punt, and just something felt really off. We looked a little out of sync on offense. Special teams was a nightmare. We all know how it went. But I want to bring to attention some positives. I try to be a positive person. So I want to bring some positives to the table, and join me on this, if you will. At some point, we will have Harrison Butker back. And if we have Harrison Butker in that game, sorry, Indy, that game was over way before the very end of the game. And how many times does Kelsey miss that pass in the end zone, that touchdown? I mean, and Kelsey, yeah, his hands were not great this week, but he is privy to one off game, and the number of games that he gives us where he is just a beast. He is unstoppable. He is privy to one off game. And so I look at some of the things that went wrong, and they were so fluky that I just don't see them happening like that again. And it took almost every single weird fluky thing for us to go wrong for Indy to even have a chance. We gifted them 7 points on the touchdown. And I don't know how you guys feel about the Chris Jones penalty. I can see both sides of it, but you can also say that we kind of gifted them that too. So it's like literally the 2 touchdowns that they got, I feel like they were almost gifted. They were gift wrapped with a bow and said, you know what, here you go. Merry Christmas and September or whatever. So I feel much more positive about it. And I'm still really impressed with our defense. So as a Jonathan Taylor fantasy owner, I'm really proud of our defense because they held him, and that's a hard thing to do. So that's kind of my 2 cents. I'm probably a little more positive.
We should have played them on Christmas.
Yes,
Yeah.
we should have.
Jesus.
I mean, I completely agree with what you said, Chrissy. And I was having to tell myself, we said that we're going to be 13-5 or whatever. That means that we've got to lose 5 games. So that's fine. We're just getting it out of the way easy. It was very hard. And I think because we could all see that very early on, lots of things were starting to go wrong. And you know, for me, the takeaway from it, the same as you, Chrissy, it's defense was looking good. We just couldn't turn it around. But I thought it was very revealing that afterwards, the tweets that were coming out from our players, you know, Kelsey's tweet was, "You guys deserve better than that." And I think there's no one that's going to be harder on the Chiefs than the Chiefs themselves.
Right.
Whereas if you look at somebody like Brady after the Packers game, his interview, he was blaming his team in a very kind of passive aggressive, you know, well, some players on the field did very well, you know, and I think that next week we're going to see a rejuvenated Chiefs team, a Chiefs team that are going to come out, they're going to recognize their mistakes. Obviously, we've already put in motion some of the corrections with our special teams. You know, it does mean losing a player, which is never great, but had to happen. So I think we are addressing those issues, and I'm feeling really positive going forward.
Yeah, I am too. And, you know, I took one for the team last night. I rewatched the full game and was not my favorite thing to do, but I did it. And as I was watching it, I'm like, you know what? Like Chrissy said, like everyone's saying, every little thing that could have gone wrong went wrong. It was the Sky Moore first punt attempt. That was a complete mess. The second one was a complete mess. And I don't even think that reflects too poorly on Sky Moore. I think it was just unfortunate events. It was one after another. And the positives I take out from that game are our defense was fantastic.
Yes.
They showed up on every single play. If we had any concerns about our defense gelling early on, those concerns are out of my concern right now.
Yeah.
And so I think from the D line to the linebackers to the safeties to everyone on that defense, everyone was making their plays where they were needed. There were a few very well thrown catches by thrown passes by Matt Ryan that his receivers caught that were contested catches. And those were fantastic catches for them to make. And I wish a few more of our receivers would have made those. But at the same time, I don't think our wide receivers looked that bad either. I just think we had a weird game plan going in. And my kind of theory on the game is that we tested some things out on a Colts team that wasn't that fantastic the first 2 weeks. And so I think Andy and Bieniemy, whoever was calling the plays, we're not even fully sure. I think it was actually Andy Reid. Whoever called those plays, I think there was a little testing some things out, testing to see what we can do with these receivers, what we can do with the tight ends, what we can do with the running backs. And maybe trying some cutesy things that like none of us wanted to see, like the fake kick. It was just
that was awful. I want them to actually never do that again. Like actually never do that again when we have Mahomes as our quarterback.
The thing is Tommy Townsend had success with it last season, but it was at a time where it didn't matter. It wasn't at a time where we needed to win the game. It was at a time where we were up like 40-20 on the Raiders.
Right.
It didn't matter. So yes, it mattered on Sunday, and it's a little frustrating to see, but I don't think there's not a bone in my body that thinks we're going to go in and play the Buccaneers that way.
Right.
Same.
So.
I think for me, it was just really odd to see how frustrated Pat was like at the beginning of the game. You don't usually see that from him.
Right off. Yeah.
He was like visibly frustrated the first quarter of the game. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, and you know, I'm a firm believer of people do as they see. And because, you know, he is the leader of this team, I think, and I know that's probably tough to say, but as being the leader of this team, I'm going to do what my leader is doing. So to see him not be able to snap out of it, it really caught me off guard. And I was hoping, you know, once they went into halftime and made those adjustments, okay, like, and we did. Like, after halftime, that first drive down the field was beautiful. And then nothing happened.
We had some really nice drives down the field. Like, Juju stepped up. MVS stepped up on a few. I mean, Travis Kelce did have a touchdown. He had an easy miss, but, like, usually it just felt like we weren't even on offense for that much.
No.
And I also think, you know how like Andy Reid or he scripts out the first 15 plays.
Yeah.
And I feel like we never got to get into sync because the first our first 2 drives were, you know, after like that fumble, and then we were already down 7, and then it was another punt, and then we were like in the end zone. So like we never really, I think, got to get through those first 15 scripted plays because we were just thrown immediately into adversity. And I think that honestly threw off the sync of the offense. I think it was causing frustration because you guys know how Patrick gets when he feels like he's putting this whole game on his shoulders. He starts to press a little bit. And I honestly feel like that's what we saw, Jodi, like what you brought up. He was visibly frustrated. And I think it's just from how that game started, because it didn't start the way to where everything that they had practiced, their script, just never got to come to fruition. And I think that's probably a lot of what we were seeing from him. And I
think if you're gonna go by a script, right?
Yeah.
You need to be able to know how to adjust. So
right,
if
totally.
it's not working, what are we doing to problem solve to get past this? If we know it's not working for us, and this was the agenda that we created going into this game. I mean, we spoke about this last week on the podcast with Megan. Like we weren't going into the Colts and taking it lightly. They always give us hell every year we play them.
Yes.
So for us to go into this game naive, that would be unrealistic, because we know the cause of this game is the reason why we said what we said last Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Right.
So, yeah, it was tough. But I mean, just like Shelley said, I know that, you know, I'm glad that I said that we were going to go either 12-5 or 13-4. That means we have to have at least 5 losses, right? Were these the losses that I originally scripted for before the season started? No. But that doesn't mean that like we can't go in there and make that adjustment. We might win a game that we thought we were going to lose, or vice versa. So I agree wholeheartedly with the fact that I think we're going to adjust. I think this hurricane is interesting, which we'll talk about in our next topic. But I definitely think we'll adjust and we'll be fine. So let's talk about some positives, man. Let's talk about some positives. Who was your player of the game last week? Player of the game last week.
My player of the game might surprise some people, but it was Darius Harris for me. He led the team in tackles. He was coming in and filling in for Willie Gay, and he had 13 tackles, and the next closest was Nick Bolton at 9. So him coming in and stepping into that role, and there was a lot of doubters out there about him, by the way. Everyone's like, no, it should be Leah Chanel and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, guys, give the guy a chance. He looked great in preseason. And he came out and he showed up. So my player of the game, who was very impressive, was Darius Harris.
I'm going to give mine to Sneed. You know, he had a couple of snacks, and I know that you guys do. Is it the Big Macs? Big Macs for Big Sacks. So hopefully everybody went and got their Big Macs, right? That's what I do. So yeah, I think that was good to see, and I think we see, it was nice to see that from him. There was loads of positives actually, and there was rookies that did well, but I think it's good to see that reliability of Sneed. So yeah, that's where I'm going.
Agreed. I think my player of the game, if we're not going defense, I'm going to go for offense. I'm going to say it was Juju. He really stepped up. He made some great plays. He leaped over a defender. He was really trying out there, and I think Juju is here to prove a point. And I think this week was I know that last pass of the game was to Juju and it ended up in an interception. But if you watched that throw, it wasn't going to make it. So I don't fully blame Juju for that one, but it was just high coverage and all of the sorts. But I think he made some great plays. And I think once him and Mahomes fully build that trust in each other, it's going to be a great thing. So I really liked what I saw from him this game. He was getting open, and actually Mahomes missed him one time when he was like wide open, which was really frustrating. Yeah. So I think once they figure out a way to gel and trust each other fully, that's going to be a really good combination. It's him and Juju. And I think we got to see a good portion of that this past week. So that was exciting. We're very excited because we love Travis Kelce. He's fantastic, but he's a tight end, and we do want to see our wide receiver. So I think Juju has all the potential in the world to be that guy.
My player of the game is a unit. It's the defense. So I mean, like the defense, they have been guns blazing since week 1. And I just really hope, which I know that they will, they just keep that same momentum going into Bucks. But I do want to make sure we give MVS some credit because he was really good this past week too. So don't want to leave him out there hanging.
He was too. And I want to say Justin Watson, who was super impressive in the Chargers game and the game before, he missed some easier catches from Mahomes this week, and that was a little bit frustrating. So that's kind of one to keep your eye on. But I think it was just more so miscommunication, maybe.
Yeah.
So would you say he's your rookie of the game?
No, that's Jalen. Don't get them confused. That's Justin.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, who did you say? You said him, right? I'm sorry, I can't hear.
No, Justin, the wide receiver, who was a big playmaker in both games previously. But this game, he wasn't quite able to make the catches, which is frustrating.
Yeah, right.
But he'll get there. I mean, we'll get there. It's early.
They'll gel. We got to give them some time to gel. Everyone is willing to give the defense 4 to 6 games. We have to give the offense 4 to 6 games too. It's a whole new unit.
Yes.
It's literally it's week 3.
Yes. I would like to remind everyone too that this time last year we were struggling with Tyreek Hill on our offense. So
exactly.
To missing Tyreek Hill.
Disgusting. Yes.
We struggled with him. We're going to go through struggles. Every team does it. It happens to everyone. The Bills went through it last week as well. It happens. The NFL, it's any given Sunday. Things are bound to happen.
And I think last year, for us, one of the turning points in our season, because we didn't start out strong. It wasn't looking like it is this season. For me, last year, it was that Green Bay game without Aaron Rodgers where they had to use Jordan Love as their quarterback. That turned our season around, and that was the point from which we then looked strongest. So I think, and you did a tweet, Lexi, saying that we are used to the success this year. So everybody took it really hard, but actually you've got to look at it, in perspective. We've had a strong start to the season. We didn't lose by hundreds of points. I know that it was a loss and it's hard to take, but we've got to be positive about it and move forward looking with that positivity, I think.
Got to move on. Goodness.
And it helps all the other teams lost it too. So
oh my God.
Bills lost. Raiders lost. Chargers lost.
That Bills.
We're okay. We're okay, guys.
It just brought happiness back to my soul when I saw that. All right, so who's you guys' rookie of the game?
I think we collectively agree it's Jalen Watson, correct?
Jalen Watson.
Yeah.
For sure.
Don't get the Watsons confused here, but
Jesus Christ.
Here's my question.
Last names. I'm like, what is happening with this team this year?
Here's my question regarding Jalen Watson, you guys. When Trent McDuffie comes back, do you think that we may, if Jalen Watson keeps up this awesome play that he is giving us, his coverage is tight, he's deflecting passes, he's not getting a bunch of penalties, do you guys think Fenton may take a back seat to McDuffie and Jalen Watson?
I think it depends what happens when McDuffie comes back.
Right.
I think it's hard to say because Jalen Watson, watching him in that game, he is being targeted so much. Because he was a 7th round pick and he's a rookie. He is right there every single play. He is right there and he's not making penalties. Like Fenton likes to hold and likes to do all of that.
Very good.
And I'm not trying to hate on Fenton with that, but Jalen Watson's a very clean player. He plays the game very clean. He doesn't cause a lot of penalties and he makes a lot of plays happen. And even if the catches are happening right next to him, he is right there. So
I wouldn't be upset if the ball got spread.
We might have
if they got spread evenly out there too, just to see who is doing better. And I also think it has a lot to do with like the games that we play, like who we're playing each week. So,
we could have a little quarterback controversy.
But if Fenton gets benched, okay, rookies, let's see what you can do.
How crazy would that be? The amount of rookies that are on our defense, like that, it just blows my mind. Well done, Beach. Just
because you know that Tom Brady's looking at them like they aren't anything.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. Good segue. So what are you guys? We're going into Bucks this week, maybe in Tampa, maybe in Minnesota, not going to be in New Orleans, but they said that we might know by tomorrow. I don't know if you guys know this, but Tampa Bay today, they practiced in Miami. So they're already down there. They got the team out of there. So we might have one. If it's in Minnesota, what are your thoughts about that? And then you guys can dive into Chiefs-Bucks discussion.
If it's in Minnesota, it's going to be a home game for the Chiefs.
It's a home game. Exactly.
It's a home game. It is a 6-hour drive or whatnot from here. I already know people who are booking hotels just in case.
Yes.
It's going to be a home game for the Chiefs, and that's going to piss Brady off.
Yeah.
So Shelley, just so you know, Minnesota is like not too far north of Kansas City. I don't know.
I mean, when you say
not very close to the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
When you say not too far, and then you say things like 6-hour drive, that's really far. How are you saying
No, it's
Welcome to the Midwest.
Nothing.
It's a
We're like in
strange
the
drive.
Midwest. It's like, a 10, 12-hour drive. That's nothing. Like, we're in the middle of everything. It's a 10-hour drive to everything.
I mean, context is everything, right? We live on this tiny little island, and I'm going 6 hours. That's crazy.
That's a day trip.
Yeah,
It's really an easy drive. And someone said earlier, I bet the tickets would be really cheap too, because
try to
now
fill the
we're trying to
stadium.
fill the stadium. Yeah.
Can you
And
imagine like people being like, wait, you're selling cheap tickets to Brady versus Mahomes, and like we can really like, yeah, I'm gonna spend money on that.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of Vikings fans might go, because I would go if 2 quarterbacks that were playing at my stadium.
Same.
Like, why not?
For sure.
Football
100%.
fans in general, go, yeah, and
For
just wear
sure.
red.
Yeah. So what are you guys' thoughts about
Either way, they can wear red. It kind of works. So
Yeah, it's true. So my thoughts on the game. So Cole Beasley, I know he had a bad year last year, but now he's a Buck.
Yeah.
So with all their injuries, is Julio Jones going to play? They say that it's not looking super optimistic right now, but they should get Mike Evans back. I think Chris Godwin should be back. And guys, I know this is really hard to hear, but Tom Brady is officially on the injury report with a finger.
Oh, he is?
It's a tradition. Every year Tom Brady shows up on the injury report like every single week. So it just cracked me up when I saw that today. The one thing about Tom Brady, guys, he's only thrown 3 touchdowns this year. That's it. And his I don't know how much you guys dive into quarterback ratings or whatnot, but his average is an 89.2 quarterback rating. So he's not playing like the Tom Brady of old. So I'm not saying he won't against us, because I feel like he wants to beat Mahomes. It's like the new GOAT versus the old GOAT type thing. But I've been every time I've seen Brady, I think he's more impressive throwing a tablet than he is a football right now. So
Agreed.
yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. I want the Chiefs to make Brady throw more tablets than touchdowns. I think that our team are going to come out absolutely fighting after that loss, because they don't want that. And as we said previously, they're so hard on themselves. Mm-hmm. So they are going to come out with something to prove. But then on the other hand, you've then got Tampa, who are also coming off, they're also coming off a loss. And I know that from watching the interviews with Tom Brady, he said, we're going to be ready for Sunday. So whatever happens, I think it's going to be a really explosive game. Hopefully that's not going to result in it being lots of flags, lots of dirty plays. Hopefully it'll be a game where it's very high scoring. Of course, I would have the Chiefs over the Bucks, and I think that we will win. We will do it. I think our team, it's a team effort from the Chiefs, whereas at the moment it just seems to be Tom Brady and the Bucks rather than a gelling unit. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting whatever happens.
I totally agree with that last statement about it being more individual team players versus team players. I totally agree with that, Shelley.
Yeah. And I actually have a feeling, based on what we've seen from these 2 offenses in the first few weeks, it might be more of a battle of the defenses.
Yeah.
And you might want to count ours out more because we have younger players, but what they've shown me so far is that they can ball with the best of them.
Absolutely.
And so I don't know. I think it could either be a shootout or it's going to be a battle of the defenses. It's going to be whatever side of the ball steps up. And I'm very intrigued to see what happens. But the chip on our shoulder from that Super Bowl and the way we got embarrassed, I'm not even going to deny it. We were embarrassed in front of millions and millions. In the UK, that's how Shelley discovered us. But because we are such a fun team, that's why she chose us.
If you're a fan after that Super Bowl, then you're a real fan, right? For that.
Right. But I think Lexi is talking about our defense, right? We have 10 sacks this year.
Yeah.
We have sacked every quarterback we've played against, and you guys know Tom Brady, how easily he gets frustrated.
I can't wait.
If we can start hitting him and taking away his throws, guys.
Their O-line is depleted, and Chris Jones and Frank Clark got so embarrassed that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They will show no mercy. I am so excited. What do you think, Jodi?
Well, I think for me, I say it every week. We got to come out fast. We came out slow last week, and it did not look good. So especially going against Tom Brady, we got to come out as soon as the clock starts. We have to just be after it, whether we are on offense or defense. I don't give a damn. I would like to see, like, particular things I would like to see. Lord Jesus, please put Mecole Hardman in for kick return, punt return. Please, Jesus. I don't know what football God we got to pray to, Lord. But can we collectively hold hands and pray about it right now? Collectively, I'm like, Jesus. But I think everybody has also said this too. Like, we want more reps from Fortson, from Watson, from Sky. Like, I know Sky had a terrible game, but I know that he's going to be able, once he gets his feet set, he's going to be just fine. Like, I don't want us to take away his gameplay just because of last week. Let that boy build some confidence. Like, biggest hands in the league or something that they said. I don't know what they said. I can't remember. Yeah, but give that boy a
Mecole was on the sideline trying to build his confidence, you know. And they showed that. I mean, they were trying. It just was unfortunate. There were just so many unfortunate things in that game. And we will absolutely learn from them and not make those mistakes again.
I mean, it was so hard to watch that game. Chrissy, I'm sure you'd agree. As a mother,
I know.
Like, just come here. I'll give you a cuddle. It's fine. He looked so heartbroken. You know that. But you know that our team are amazing at picking them up and rallying them. You know, if somebody's making a mistake, the whole team are there to pick them up. So I don't think there's any blame on any individual within that team. They take it on themselves. And that's, you know, that's what makes us such a force within the NFL. So, you know, they're going to come out and I don't think there'll be any, you know, everybody will want to prove that last week was a fluke.
Absolutely. 100%.
And we all saw in that Houston game, you know, on our Super Bowl run, Mecole Hardman muffed that punt. And, you know, that started that downward spiral of, whoa, what happened? And so I was really proud, like Lexi said, how he went over to Sky and he was trying to pump him up and everything. I really appreciated that from him because I think a lot of people, they don't respect Mecole as much as they should. I think they're wanting him to be something that he's not. And I don't think that's fair to him. And I really appreciated him trying to take that leadership role on the sidelines with a young player who was obviously devastated. Yeah. So just props to Mecole. That's it. That's all I can say.
100%.
I think our rookies also know they have a ton of pressure on themselves going into the season. So I feel like they're almost more nervous than a regular rookie would be because I don't know if you guys watched our YouTube series that the Chiefs do, but
the franchise.
The franchise. That first episode, you know, they're listening to Clark Hunt and he's like, we expect championships. We expect Super Bowls every single, you know.
Can you imagine?
I love that and I agree, but it is a lot of pressure coming into a team, a Super Bowl running team. So
yeah, especially when you're replacing when we lost, you know who, I don't want to say his name.
No.
Like, and everyone's looking at our wide receiver room and they're like, oh, what's it going to be like this year, etc. And imagine coming in as a rookie like that. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm not this person. Yeah, I'm like, I really want to do a good job, but and so like, just give him some time, guys. He's a rookie. He's still learning. Tyreek Hill, I know I just said I didn't want to say his name, but his rookie season, doing all that stuff, he wasn't doing anything crazy either. So everyone chill. Leave the poor boy alone.
For sure. Well, no, I'm excited for this week. We'll get into score predictions a little bit later, but let's just take a quick minute and talk about the AFC South. So every week we talk about a division, we rank them, how we think they're going to do this year, and let's get into it.
So this is an interesting division this year, and I feel like we're saying that every week right now, but the divisions are very interesting in some of like what's going on. Jacksonville is in first place.
Yes.
So maybe they're finally capitalizing off of all these like first and second, overall picks, and they have new coaching staff. And so this is my prediction, and it feels crazy to me, but we're going with it. My prediction is that the AFC South is going to finish Jacksonville in first. Oh my God. It sounds crazy. I'm so sorry. Indianapolis in second, Titans in third, and Houston in fourth, which is ironically how they're ranked now. Yeah. Titans just don't look good this year. Houston is the new Jacksonville. And Indy, I think they're better than what their record shows. I don't think that they quite have it together yet. I think they're going to drastically improve as the season goes. But Jacksonville, like Trevor Lawrence is looking good. His stat line is awesome, and they're scoring a lot of points. So yeah, it feels really good to say.
I completely agree with you that the order and everything, that's exactly what I've got, Chrissy. I've got mad love for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We saw them last year against the Dolphins in London, our first London games. And we always root for the underdog, and I am so happy to see them doing well. I've got Trevor Lawrence on my fantasy football team as well, so that's amazing for me. I'm really pleased with that decision. So yeah, I think that they will finish first, and then the Colts, and the same order as you, Chrissy. But I am also really happy to see the Jags doing well.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I want to go the same way. But the Jaguars they could be similar to the last year Cincinnati Bengals, and I think people are silly to count them out right now. They needed a head coach desperately. Urban Meyer was atrocious, embarrassing, awful last year.
So bad.
How he even has a job right now, I don't know, on whatever college sports day he's on. But Doug Peterson has won a Super Bowl, and he's now their coach. And I think that's going to be the difference maker. He's building a culture over there. They had to do it quickly. They had to do it in the offseason pretty quickly. And Trevor Lawrence, he's been an extremely solid quarterback, especially through college. He hadn't lost a game through like all of high school and college. Like, so for him to come into this situation he was put in was unfortunate. Yeah. But I think they've done a really good job of turning it around. And I think Jacksonville will absolutely be a contender this year. Do not write them off yet.
No.
And so I'm going to say Jacksonville, Colts, because I think the Colts will get it figured out. I think they needed a few games to also adjust, and they had some injuries and some things happen with their best wide receivers. So I think, they'll get it figured out. That Alec Pierce guy looks really good. So
yeah.
So I think they have some promise. Titans and Houston, I want to go Titans because they have Derrick Henry and they have a pretty solid defense, but they're kind of a toss-up. That's a weird division. So, yeah.
I went Jags at 1 because Trevor Lawrence is him. Something I've never thought I would ever say in my life.
So excited to say it.
I think them beating the Chiefs rejuvenated them. So I'm kind of interested to see what happens to them at least the next 3 to 4 weeks. I'm not going to say remainder of the season, but 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm actually going to go Texans at 3. And then I'm going to go Titans at 4 just because the Titans have looked – like the Texans have not looked great, okay? But the Titans have looked really, really bad. So yeah, that's the order that I'm gonna take. So.
And did you guys hear, because Pat McAfee went to the game, he kind of spoke on it a lot. He gave a ton of respect to the Chiefs. I know they won, and he was an ex-Colts punter, so he's a big Colts fan guy. But he was like, watching that team in person, he's like, the stuff Patrick Mahomes does and Travis Kelce, and they just make their way on the field. He's like, that is something special. They know they won because we had some things happen.
Yeah, their fans do too.
Loud, you can tell he knows.
I heard it a lot today from people outside of both of our fan bases. Like, y'all seen how the Chiefs were. Like, come on, guys. Like, let's be realistic. Like, it felt like people finally woke up from the hangover of, oh my God, the Chiefs got beat by the Colts, and then they realistically noticed what happened during the game. So that was positive to see. So let's get into the top 5 games of the week and our picks on who we think will win or who we think will lose this week. So Thursday night football is going to be crazy. I can't wait to watch Bengals, Dolphins in Cincy. I was like, wait, where are they? In Cincinnati. Who do y'all think wins that game?
I don't want to say it, but I think the Dolphins. I don't like either team. And it's all personal, emotional reasons. And I know that's silly, but I'm an emotional person, but I'm going with the Dolphins.
Yeah, same here. I'm going with the Dolphins as well. I think they've looked good so far this season. And, I think they'll have it over the Bengals.
I'm going to go Bengals. It's a home game. And it really could go either way. A lot of them, or both teams, kind of have some unknowns to me. I do think, but both of their receiving cores are fantastic.
Really good, yes.
That's like the 2 top receiving cores, and I think that Joe Burrow is the better quarterback. I cannot talk right now. Their defenses are pretty similar to me, so I'm going to go Bengals. But
I'm going to go Dolphins. They all came out healthy last week. I think the Bengals are healthy too, but I don't know. I think the Dolphins are just on like this world tour right now. They're so Miami. They're so glitz and glam, and
someone will bring him back down to earth at some point.
They will.
I can't wait till we get later into the season. Let's just say
real quick about the Dolphins. Tyreek only had like 30 yards last week.
Did you see those glasses he had on during his press conference?
Good Lord.
Okay, that's it. That's all we're giving them. Next game, Bills at Ravens, Sunday at noon. That should be another really, really good game.
That's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. I may be alone in this, and this is all gut feeling. I'm picking the Ravens to beat the Bills. And I'm chalking it up probably to Lamar Jackson looks ridiculous right now. He's still making mistakes. He throws interceptions. But the Bills have so many injuries right now. And I think that Lamar Jackson can expose those holes. So I'm going with the Ravens.
I like it.
Yeah. You are not alone, Chrissy. I'm going with the Ravens as well. So we can be in that together. Yeah, the injuries for the Bills. I think we are seeing a lot of frustration from the Bills and maybe a little bit of desperation in their plays, and it's kind of getting quite messy. So yeah, I'm going with the Ravens too.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the Bills on that one. I think they're coming off of a loss that they're pissed off from. Both of those quarterbacks are absolutely phenomenal right now. They both have a case for MVP at the end of the season.
They do.
Both teams, Ravens have a few injuries, not quite as many as the Bills, but I want to say the Bills. I think they have that fire in them, and I'll give them that one. We'll see. It's going to be a phenomenal game as well. I'm very excited for it.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited for football this weekend. I'm going Ravens because Lamar Jackson. Yeah, that's it. Lamar Jackson. So I'm going Ravens. I think they have a point to prove. I think it's really
I'm doing the upsets this week.
Lexi is always like by herself on these. I swear.
All right.
But I think it's going to be a very high scoring game. It might be the highest scoring game of the weekend, honestly. So, like, I think it is going to be a shootout. I think Lamar is going to do something insane, have easily 400 plus yards. I think it's going to be crazy. And yes, the Bills came off of a very, very, very embarrassing loss. But I think the Ravens win.
I can't believe you're going against Mr. Diggs.
I know. Next game, which is also another. There is a lot of good football this week.
Yes, finally.
I'm not leaving my house on Sunday. Jags at Eagles at noon. That is a tough one.
Gosh.
That is a tough one. Okay.
This could go either way.
Goodness gracious.
And I have Eagles circled here, but I honestly don't even believe myself. Like, I can't choose. I keep flip-flopping back and forth. I think it's going to be a very close game, and it's going to come down to the wire. They've got two young quarterbacks doing their thing, playing really well right now. I technically chose Eagles, but I don't believe necessarily that there is a correct answer here.
Tie. They're going to end in a tie.
They're just going to tie.
I agree. That's all I'm doing this evening is just agreeing with Chrissy.
Kelly and I are on the same page.
We totally are. So I have got Eagles written down. Okay. But yeah, I want the Jags to win.
I know, that's how I
feel. Yeah. So I think the Eagles will have it. It is close, isn't it? It's close. So I'm going to go Eagles, but I want the Jags to get the win.
Is it at Jacksonville or at Philadelphia?
It's in Philly.
Yeah, it's in Philly. I think that's why I gave them the edge, because it's home.
Dang, that is such a hard one.
Yeah, it is.
Why did we give ourselves the hardest games to try to predict?
Don't forget the question.
Okay. Look, I'm going to stay on trend. I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're on a hot streak. Their D-line is absolutely fantastic, but also the Eagles O-line is fantastic. So, but I do think at the moment, while Jalen Hurts is a more mobile quarterback, I think Jacksonville has the edge on the run game. I think Eagles have the edge at receiver, and I think Jacksonville has the edge at defender. One of their first-round picks is actually making a big difference in their secondary as well for the Jaguars. So I'm going to go Jacksonville. Why not? Upset. Let's get the upset, Jacksonville.
Oh, my goodness. The only reason why I'm going Eagles is because it's a home game. That's it.
Apparently, I'm the only one upsetting anyway.
It literally came down to where's the game being played. And I don't think it's a far flight to Philadelphia from Jacksonville. So I'm sure they're going to travel very well, especially with
they need to get out of the hurricane.
The weather. You know what I mean? Like, why not YOLO road trip to Philadelphia? So next game, don't really care about either one of these teams. Broncos at Raiders. 3:25 on Sunday.
I think that McDaniels may have a job for one more week after this game. So I'm going with Raiders. I don't know why. I don't like either team. Like you said, I don't care. But I think the Raiders, I think that they've played better football and they've just Raidered at the end and given up games and whatnot. So Raiders. But boo.
Exactly.
We're actually going to disagree here. I think Broncos. I think Broncos. Again, not. I just went okay. Broncos. Yeah, yeah. Broncos.
It's such a toss-up. I think the Raiders are going to pull off their first win. Devonte Adams is pissed. He's going to find a way to get open. Broncos have looked absolutely terrible, but both of them need to win this game. And you know what? They can end in a tie for all I care. So, but I'm going to go Raiders. We'll see.
I'm going Raiders too, just because the Broncos literally had 5 points all the way through to the fourth quarter with a fluke touchdown. So I'm going Raiders because I really don't like the Broncos and I really don't like the Raiders, but I'm going Raiders. And then last game,
I've got a couple of Broncos supporters in my life, so that's why I've said, "Oh yeah, Broncos."
My
My best
brother-in-law.
friend is a Broncos fan, so it's like, oh no.
I have a brother-in-law and a sister-in-law that are a Broncos and a Raiders fan.
I have a friend that's a Raiders or a Broncos fan too, so I get it.
That's my life. So last game in London, Vikings, who are actually going to be the home team, and the Saints, who are going to be the away team at 8:30 a.m. on Sunday.
I'm going Vikings. I just think that they are the all-around better team. My big question for the game is, I know Kirk Cousins tends to struggle in prime time. I know this isn't technically prime time, but it's that kind of a game, and he tends to struggle when there's like a special thing about the game. So I'm still going Vikings. And please don't struggle because he's my fantasy quarterback because Dak is hurt. So please.
I can't tell you how excited I am for this. So yeah, we're going to the game the week after. We're going to the Packers game, obviously. But to have football in London is amazing. There's such a good vibe. Oh, I can't wait. I'm going with the Vikings for this one.
What time are you waking up to tailgate?
Oh, do you know, I wish that we don't really have much of a tailgate. We went last year and there isn't a tailgate at the stadium, but I think this year, from the plans that we've seen, we got our tickets today and we got our itinerary, and it seems like there's Packers meetups planned for, we're going to one on London Bridge, and we've already planned to meet, lots of people. So I think it will be kind of a self-made tailgate rather than an official one. But we are going to London on Saturday the 8th, which is my birthday. So, my tailgate will be a beer at, I think probably about 11:30 is the goal in the morning. That's what time I'll start.
I love that you guys have an itinerary for tailgating.
Yeah, it tells you where to go, where the fans are going to be, what time the events are. If you haven't got tickets, where you can go and watch the game. It's been really well planned, and I'm so excited.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm so excited for you guys. Wait, Shelley, which team did you pick? Which team did you say?
We went with Vikings.
Vikings. Okay. I'm going to go Saints on this one. I think Saints are coming off of a rough loss last week. And like you said, Kirk Cousins, he causes me a little concern in those big games for whatever reason. So I'm going to go Saints.
I think if Jameis wasn't hurt, I would go Saints. He just...
Is he not expected to play now? Or
I'm sorry?
Is he not expected to play?
No, I think he's going to play. I just know that he's very hurt. I hate to see it. So I'm going to go Vikings. I went kind of back and forth on this one as well, just because I know the Saints have had a couple of rough last few weeks. And I feel like this could be a big bounce back game for them, but I don't know. I think I'm going Vikings. That's where I'm sticking.
All right. I'm alone in most of my picks.
Okay. I'm going Vikings.
You need to stop upsetting people, Lexi. Jeez.
All right. So last game, Chiefs Bucks with a pending location. Who are we picking?
I'm going
with your score prediction.
I'm going with the Chiefs. I just think they're an all-around better team, and I think their chemistry is actually team versus eyes all over. The score, I'm going to go with 28-21 Chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously it's going to be the Chiefs. I think that the Chiefs offense are going to come out. They're going to have something to prove. I think they would have worked on it all week. I definitely think the score will be in the high 20s. I like your scoreline, Chrissy. So, I would go with that. I'd like to see a repeat of week 1.
Yes.
But are they going to be able to put that many points past the Bucks? I don't know. So, yeah, I'm going to go both teams in the 20s.
Yeah, obviously, I think every week we're going to pick the Chiefs. That's just, we have a team that can do it.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm going to say the Chiefs. I think they're going to want to upset this Bucks team due to that last Super Bowl. We played them very well in the regular season that same year. that we had the Super Bowl against them. We played them very well and came out really strong. Although the Bucks do have like a top 3 to 5 defense this season. So that's where I do think it could come into more of a defensive battle, but we shall just see. I'm going to go a little more low scoring. I'm going to say Chiefs 23-21.
Oh my God, Lexi.
My heart cannot handle that, Lexi. So
No.
please.
Okay, so before I get into my reasonings, my score, of course, Chiefs winning 24-21. And I definitely think it's going to be a low scoring game. I mean, I think it could even be 17-21. You know, I think it's going to be a low scoring game. God, let this new kicker, I don't know who he is. I didn't even read the
He
details.
played for Jacksonville last year.
Okay. So let's just pray that
He should be well
we
rested.
do have Justin Reed. So it follows. But no, I think it's going to be a defensive game. I think our defense is actually going to score too. So yeah, that's my score prediction. I'm excited.
Right. Should be a fun game, you guys.
I know. Lots of
I mean, not if we're talking 24-21 at 1 o'clock in
Yeah,
the morning. It's not going to be fun for me.
Maybe
It is
stressful.
after
Maybe
stressful
have a heart
game.
monitor, a Bible, you know,
It's getting
Some
stressful.
holy water.
some anxiety medication. It's gonna be fine. Everything's fine. It's totally fine.
Let's hope for like 36-20. Let's just
Right?
We're hoping for that, but
Yeah,
we're
Chiefs.
being realistic.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Well, you guys, first of all, everybody who watched tonight, thank you so much for coming. We want to give Shelley a huge shout out for staying up so late to join us live. So everyone, huge shout out for Shelley. We love her so much. As always, we are live every single week at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Starcade Media's Facebook, YouTube page, as well as our Kingdoms Queens Twitter page, as well as Starcade Media's. You can follow all of us on Twitter, and we'll go live every single week. So please follow us on the Kingdoms Queens on Twitter, and subscribe to us on Apple and Spotify so you can listen to us and catch us every single week. We love you guys so much. Wherever this game is played, I know we've got people traveling to the game, so please travel safely. Show up, be loud. I love hearing the national anthem videos from all the away stadiums where Chiefs is so prominent in that song. So have safe travels, everybody. And as always, the Queens have spoken.
Bye, y'all.